Okay, welcome all. I'd like to introduce Mr. Kamal Salwan. Now, Kamal is Australia's most respected authority on operations and digital solutions. And for the last 30 years, he's been dissecting, examining, exploring, reconfiguring, and optimizing the intersections between physical and digital business processes. And it's my opportunity to introduce him, and it's my opportunity today to see what he does and to talk about his recently released book. So, in our current age of rapid digitization, many decision makers they labor under the mistaken belief that digitizing a company is straightforward. It's a lateral move. Given his years of working with many organizations across a wide range of industries, Kamal knows that there is quite a lot more than that meets the eye. Working at the leading edge of today's rapidly evolving technologies, Kamal provides up-to-date insights into how these can be harnessed to achieve increasingly effective and profitable outcomes for your business. He distills the information down into a systematic, customized approach to digitization that takes advantage of what organizations have already in place. Then he applies the right technologies at the proper pain points. Effectively, he looks at things end to end. Kamal works closely with his clients and their teams to gain full understanding of an organization's operating infrastructure and core processes. These analysis look at internal workings, at the capabilities of an upstream supply chain, as well as the likes, needs, and preferences of downstream customers, as well as the prospects. It's an approach that skillfully identifies the holes which business values through which the business value is being drained, as well as the opportunities where the value is and can be created. That net result is a set of solutions which facilitate the organizational efficiency, both in physical and digital processes. In plugging the operational holes in your business, in his book, Kamal Salwan lays out in detail what business leaders need to know in order to plug the holes in their organizations that are stifling the growth. So welcome, Kamal. We're going to talk about your book around the themes of customer and employee experience, data-driven business operations, and connected product services for internal and external processes. Welcome, Kamal, and thanks for this opportunity to discuss your book.
No, thanks for the opportunity. Really my pleasure, honor to be here.
Okay, so let's just get into the book profile. So as I understand, and correct me if I'm wrong, your business book talks about optimizing business operation, integrating physical and digital workflows, leveraging new technologies, crafting a bespoke digitization strategies, understanding client operations, assessing supply chain and customer needs, identifying and resolving value loss areas, implementing efficiency in solutions, and educating on operational improvements. Now, these are quite a handful number of things that you specialize in. So perhaps these are more useful in a large corporate environment. So, if I understand correctly, what motivated you to write this book?
I think I shared a story also in the introduction of the book that I was a born engineer. I love to do, the physical things, physically, how this world works, why it works. And so, like I was tearing apart things and then bringing them back in. The same thing, that's why I became an engineer. And from my experience, working in various industries, from the physical level of the world, the physical world which exists, to the digital world, which is all that happens up in, if you compare a business to a human body, the digital world is more where you take benefits out up in the mind or in the brain. So my experience of, where physical things exist, how they work, and how they can be integrated to respond to the world or to the universe in a more harmonious, homogeneous, and kind of instantly, or when someone needs to respond in the world, which is ever changing. So that's where it came. So I used all my experience uh, through to working at the bottoms up and from the top down approach, both from the technology and from the core processes, right up to from the what it matters for the business. I wanted to bring all those things into a book to explain how other people can benefit and see the world differently.
Awesome. So it's a brain and mind integration that, how one thing impacts the other. That's what
Yeah.
you're looking at as an engineer.
Yes, I mean, if you look at the brain, I mean, it's a physical matter
Yeah.
which gets trained, which responds, which is what is kind of controlling everything else in the body.
Yeah. So wonderful analogy. If I see as an organization as an organism, as obviously the word evolved,
Mm.
uh, it's how the brain works and how the body works. Now, why do you think digitization is a problem for many businesses, and what is stopping their transformation? Because it's a it's a universal problem. It's not just a problem in Australia. It's any modern economy with AI coming in, with the new things happening in the world. uh, it's obviously it's becoming a bigger as a challenge. But why do you see that it's a problem for many businesses? Because data is omnipresent now. It shouldn't be a problem.
It shouldn't be. And the data actually was there even in the analog world before the digital came into the play. The world is analog. It's the digital is, the way we bring the data so that we can operate on it and we can manage our operations or so. So why is this a problem? It's a problem because rather than a problem, it's a challenge, I guess, for all the businesses. Businesses exist not for the digital or for the data side of things, but businesses exist to have a position in this world where they have evolved from where they started to where they are in an organic way or so, and they have a lot of legacy ways of working. So what happens is when they see that the world which we live in is already in a continuous change mode. So when they see everything else is changing, they need to look at how they can change their own business. And when they have to make a change, that time they have to see how does that work in the current environment. What is it that they will need to change in their business? They explore solutions in context of what's available out there. They do some bit of a research, and then once they decide, they make a change. They'll run it as a project and make a change or so. But why that is a problem? That's a problem because the world is changing so fast. Learning everything by everybody is a challenge. So they wouldn't be able to uh, monitor and track what's happening out there, which could be beneficial for their business. So they have to do some research. Now they can do that sort of a research by themselves, do it yourself, or they can work with the the vendor partners, or the people who are developing the new capabilities. They have good salespeople. They'll explain the change. They will say, this is how it'll move you from point A to point B. But will a one particular vendor or platform or any of their solutions solve a business all problems? Probably not, because it might solve 50%, 60%. It'll be hard to see an 80% one. So they need to, uh, if they go to vendors, they'll try to sell their solution so that you fit your business into their environment. And uh, it should be, and there's another thing which I normally say, it's easier to tailor technology to business needs than the other way around. So that's something businesses need to understand what they are asking for. So they need some sort of ways to understand, structure their business and say, what are the things in the business that they can do, need to do, and would help them make those changes. And that's why, that's where this book comes into the play, to explaining. Yeah.
Now, I'm just curious, what are your, I'll come to other specific questions, but, based on this question, I thought I'll ask you, what are your views about that? Let's say there's a large organization which has got multiple layers of hierarchy and, and matrix time arrangement, and, they have a problem. And by the time they decide that they have a problem and they start thinking about a solution, and they arrive at this is the solution they need, and then a vendor comes in, and then the vendor analyzes, this is what they need, and there is actually a business and environment and the vendor matching happening, and then something is rolled out, and by the time that the whole operation takes place and it's implemented in a digital context, there is a very significant lag time. The world's moved on again. It could be a 6 months, 18 months, 2 years, 3 years time frame. And I'm sure the large organizations that you have worked in, you have faced that. How do you actually shrink that lag time problem? For example, let's just take AI. Everybody is talking about AI. So any organization where you have, let's say, implemented an organization-based solution on, let's say, staff management, and suddenly you have a new solution which actually trains people in the new environment. So the whole world's shifted. How do you implement that in such a case?
That's a very good question. It's not a problem only in the large organizations. It's the same problem in the small organizations as well, because the large organizations spend a lot of time in analysis and a
Yeah.
lot of time in deciding what to do. The small organizations do the similar things, but in a different mode. uh, I'm reading, I'm learning, and it's not a problem. It's too hard a basket. Let's put it off. And then once they come to a point that they no longer can sustain their existing operations, they'll start to look at making a change at that time. But coming back to your question in terms of how do you handle that lag? That's something. Technologies will come, evolve, and go, and new technologies will keep coming. But what doesn't change are the business capabilities. What the business is set up to. So if the businesses know what capabilities they have and how to digitize those capabilities, how to make them available in such a way that if one capability, for example, you have a customer engagement capability, or for example, you have product and service creation capability, or delivering that capability, that can change independently. But how it fits with the rest of the business, it's like coming back to that human analogy. Like a human system is a system of systems. For example, you got a respiratory system, you got a muscular system, you got a digestive system, and so many things. They all interwork. They interwork in such a way that as a normal human we don't even notice. Only we notice when there's a pain point. But if you do the same thing with the business, you look at your capabilities and look at your equivalent to these systems are your value streams or value chains. What value chain you need to improve or enhance or so. In that case, in that one, you map that to the specific capabilities your business has, and with those capabilities, you can see what's changing out there. Is it like there's a lot of AI happening, right? What AI is, if you distill it down to, it's a prediction technology at the moment. So it gives you a best possible prediction of the next possible outcome, right? And somebody has to decide on that. Now, as part of a overall job for the customer, there are various tasks. So it might do one or two tasks in there, but you still have to look at the overall job, end-to-end job. And for that, you need to look at what are your capabilities. You need to look at the three pillars: information, structure, and the behavior. So as long as you can structure your capabilities, which satisfy these needs at the business layer, what business needs to do, and then you can map that to your applications, to the whatever infrastructure and technologies, whether that's a digital technology or a physical technology. That's how it comes. So with that, that's how the businesses can look at staying in control of what they have and tailor the technology to their business needs rather than the other way around.
Wonderful. I can very clearly see that you've kind of looked at solving this from core working outwards, just like a doctor would do. So, and I should call you Dr. Engineer Kamal Salwan.
Well, thank you for that.
Interesting. So, besides this, what other challenges you see in the industry? And I'm sure you've worked in multiple geographies across the globe. Um, so what are the challenges you see in Australia and other places, and how do you see the challenges in Australia are similar or different from challenges that you've seen in other geographies? Or if you've seen that they are pretty much along the same vein, then you may want to share that.
Sure. Or, there are specific challenges businesses have, geography specific. For example, if it's a low labor cost country versus a high labor cost country, Australia being in the high labor cost, and I'm actually been here for the last 30 years most of the time. I've worked slightly out, internationally. But from a challenges perspective, the one comes common among the high labor cost and the low labor cost are the skills shortage. And that's, you might think in the low labor, low labor countries, skill shortage is not there. It is there. It's a very much a challenge there. And the countries like India and China, they have focused a lot on training and retraining and their skilled labor, turning their labor from normal, unskilled labor to a skilled labor also. The challenge that comes in high labor costs is that you need to look at how to automate tasks which don't need to be done by specific, humans. So basically make it modular enough, make it integrated enough that you can change them. You can change and repair them, as and when that needs to be done. The and that requires a continuous evolution of the training and education at all level. The other challenge which I'm saying is the evolving cost of the energy, because everything is becoming very expensive all around the world. But you would high energy costs would have pinched you at home. But give you an example, in a manufacturing sector, there's more energy cost to the business than the the salary cost or the salary bill. Because if you look at any process, it requires input materials, it requires energy, it requires some kind of a manual capability to produce an output and manage the waste or so. The energy that's required is quite expensive, and that's why energy is on the high agenda of everyone. The other challenges, apart from the day-to-day operations which businesses face, are things like which are coming as sustainability, net zero, and supply chain resilience is also. All these things require a business to respond tactically to that. Now, rather than thinking sustainability or net zero targets or carbon emissions as a target or so, as a policy imposition on you, you should see that as an opportunity in terms of make your business in such a way. So, for example, if you have to do the carbon footprint of your operations, so it's good to digitize it and understand where things are coming in, what energy is going in, what energy is being wasted at the task level or at the micro, conversion level in your business. And then when the government says, by net zero by 2035 or 2050, you're ready for the reports because you have the data, you can create reports out of it and give it to government or whoever needs it. But in the process, you would have improved your business, your customers' lives, and your employees' attitude towards how to do business.
Interesting. Very good. Now, all this that you're covering here, obviously, I'm sure you have covered a lot of other nuggets in your book. How can your book help the business leaders, and can you share some examples of how your book readers have benefited from the concepts that you're presenting?
So I'll give you, there are many examples, but I'll give you a couple. One from an existing business and one from a new startup business.
Sure.
From an existing business, and it just happened before COVID, they were doing a lot of paperwork or so, and they were lucky enough to engage me just prior to COVID. And we started working on it. And prior to COVID, they had their order system via fax. So you can imagine you get the data, you get the sales order via fax, and how the rest of the processes are impacted by that. So that was the first thing we did when the COVID hit, and we were in the middle of just planning or so. So we shifted to the tactical gear. We converted that sales order from fax to an electronic signature based, which people could order, while sitting where they were, not having access to a fax machine, or that sort of a thing. What that involved in the other things were, the back end processes, as I was saying, the value chains. When you order something, can you deliver it? When can you deliver it? Do you have a capacity to deliver it? What are the other impacts it has on the rest of the business? All those things in the background were worked through. So that was the first thing. And then we worked on digitizing the products and services to improve their customer engagement, to improve their delivery mechanisms, and to start giving them the reporting. And in the process, we reused their existing tool sets, which they bought, but didn't know what to do with it. As part of the normal implementation program, we leveraged those tools to, start collaborating among everyone. And they were not in one office, they were in the home offices, working from home.
So,
yeah. And the other one, which I would give an example, is a startup.
Yeah.
That startup, what happens normally is there's a lot of systems out there. If you look into the CRM landscape, there are 5,000. If you look into the cybersecurity, there are 10,000 solutions. And some people have done maps of so. So when a business who is not very IT literate or so, they have to start a business and they have to do all this system. The first thing they say is engage a web developer. They'll do part of it, but you have to be a project manager to manage them. Or they'll say, okay, engage another, social media team, engage this one, and how do you engage your backend spreadsheets so which you do. So I worked with them, understood what they needed to do, and in this particular case, my client was more of a person who would take my advice straight away, because alternative to that is evaluating 5 or 6 different options and then picking a leader one. A leader of the pack. It's the analogy I give is if you go to a doctor and he says, your problem can be solved by aspirin or a paracetamol or something else, but if the doctor starts to give you a choice, and then if the onus of making a decision is on the patient is not as qualified as the doctor is. So you sometimes have to take the advice from doctor and say, in your case, aspirin is better than paracetamol, or, I'm just giving a very simplest example. So there, that so the customer was that sort of customer, which took benefit of that. So I help pick up the right components which are available in the market, which can do marketing, pre-sales, sales, delivery, billing, and the back end, her team operations also. And that's all pre-integrated because that's what was required out of her. It gives a pathway to expand in the future. 5 years time, when the business grows, the tool sets may need to be changed or reshuffled. So in that case, what is more important is the business information you have, so that you can transpire and transpose that information from one platform, one system to another. Because your business capabilities do not change, on the underlying systems, platforms can change. So that's how the businesses I have helped through.
Oh, wonderful. But I know I see that's a very confusing situation that, there are so many system tools, technologies, and the combination permutation between choosing, all these myriad of options that one has. It's like infinite permutation and combination. So what should a leader do? Um, it's very hard. So what should a leader do to kind of arrive at, okay, what's the logic of coming up at all these combination and permutation of tool systems to come up to an answer that's operationally going to be the right one for my organization, and that to keep in mind the lag that will happen by the time they have it.
Yeah, that's a common challenge. Businesses don't know what they don't know, or the leaders don't know what they don't know. So they need to understand what are the things they need to do in different areas. Coming back to the human analogy, what particular system in your body or in your business that needs what information. So you will need to look at all the systems you have and understand that part from the capabilities perspective. What capabilities you need, and how do you put them into a value chain when you're delivering it from a customer perspective, from keeping in mind how to keep the employees' experience as seamless as possible, so that if employees are happy, they have less time to worry about their day-to-day operations, more time to do the customer value-added actions or interactions or so. So, for example, if you're making a sale, or if you're delivering something, or if you're answering a billing call, or if you're doing a support call or so, the customer should see you as a company of one, rather than I have to check that with person X or department X or so. The whole 360-degree view of the customer should be at the fingertips of any touch point
Okay.
business has. So that's where this book helps you to understand what are the overarching areas. There are three core themes in the book: the customer engagement aspect, how to make your product and service digitized so that you can have seamless operations. Invariably, when in large organizations they do a strategy, they pick up one out of those three themes to do it. But the digital is the common thread that brings everything together. And operations invariably in the organizations take a lower priority. But my belief is that if you build your business in a way that your operations are always considered in advance, then you'll build a sustainable business. I worked in a customer support area for a long time, building their backend strategies and solutions. My analysis was that 5% of the interactions customer have are in pre-sales, sales, and delivery thing. 95% of the customer interaction with your product and service is in the operation of that product and service. And you have to make that life of that 95% good. Not just think, I have to grow, so sell more and, serve the customer, when it comes. You should be in a situation where you get no complaints, or you are proactively knowing what complaints might come, and then you resolve them on a proactive basis.
Yeah. No, wonderful. Yeah, but what I see is, and you rightly pointed that out, that many times, our impression of an entity or an organization is based on purely the touch points we have with the organization. If you talk to somebody at the reception and they've been rude to you, your whole assessment of all the entire organization actually falls down to zero, despite the fact that they might be coming up with one of the top products, which is actually 95% of what your value is going to be, but you can actually make your judgment based on that weak point. So wonderful. Thank you very much, Kamal. I'll open it to questions now. I'll invite our participants, Vishal and Mike, if they have any questions before we conclude.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Kamal, for your time today. Just a second, I'll try to turn on my video. Yeah, hi Kamal, this is Vishal. So I'll just give a brief introduction. So I'm a product designer, a user experience designer. I was in a contract role with the WorkSafe Victoria. So yeah, and I have almost like 10 to 15 years of experience working in digital product design and as well as in automotive design. So yeah, it was great to learn your thoughts about how and I could connect a lot of points that you raised as well. Like at one end, you see systems being upgraded, and I'll just refer to CRM or SaaS-based systems that are there. So by the time a business catches up with a new technology upgrade and you train a whole workforce, and when I say a whole workforce, that workforce would have a wide diaspora, like from users who are young to users who have a bit of a challenge learning adopting technology, who are in say in their later stages of career. So how do you create a training plan that can accommodate all of these spectrum? And by the time you get all of them onboarded, the technology solution has changed on the other side, and business requirements change. So um, it's a very you can say dicey landscape. But like your thoughts about the way to plug that is with right strategy. So I think yeah, it was a lot of interesting insights in the session.
Thanks, Vishal. On that, what I would say, the time for the 3-year projects or 5-year projects is quite kind of gone. Now we are in the era of agile, or what they call a DevOps, DevSecOps. This do all those things. So it has to be in a outcome-driven agile delivery mechanism. Go out and test and so, but that's a delivery mechanism. Your capabilities do not change. Your capabilities remain the same. You just are improving them on iterative basis, as you go along. So that's one of the good outcomes the industry has achieved over the last 10, 15 years.
Yeah, that's all. Thank you.
Thanks for the question. Thanks, Srikanth. You joined just now.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry. I was busy with meetings and I had this in my calendar, but I just was out and yeah, I should join. Yeah,
Welcome.
sorry I was late.
That's okay. Thanks.
If you want to throw in any questions, Srikanth, you're welcome. We would otherwise we're close to concluding this.
No worries, no worries. Thanks. Yeah, definitely I'll probably get the book and have a look at it, but possibly and also catch up and learn in person rather than taking the whole session's time.
Sure. Now you can order the book from my website, digitalenact.com.au/book.
Mhm.
And for today's session, Samir, to honor Samir, I have created a promotion code also. So
Okay.
promotion code is Samir Chat as one. You can only use that if you pay via Stripe. The Amazon one is not available as of now because it's out of stock at Amazon. So it's
Okay.
fulfillment by outside. But yeah, if you pay directly via Stripe and use that code, you'll get 50% discount on the book price. But unfortunately, I can't change the pricing of the shipping.
No worries. That's all right.
And I think Shrikant deals with a large number of large organizations or enterprise end of the market. So I think maybe sitting down and having a chat with Kamal might be useful. You never know where new opportunities can be uncovered.
Yeah, sure.
Absolutely. I totally agree with that. Thanks for organizing this summer. And definitely, I would like to catch up with you also, Samir, sometime.
Yeah, I'll look forward to it. Are you coming to any Thai meetings?
I'm back in Australia now. I was traveling for a couple of months and then I'll be away next month. So if anything is happening in August, I'll be here. September, I'm in US.
So where are you off to? Oh, sorry.
Um,
Let me stop recording first. Hang on a second.
Yeah, sure.
Thanks.
Just